Ready whenever y'all are.
I do have one question. I'd like to ask you, how is NC State, the city of Raleigh, the fan base, and the students helping you sell what you're trying to sell to the kids?
Hey, we've got tremendous support. We've got a great fan base, best in the league. And look, you go to the home football games, it's sold out, people everywhere. The students are engaged, everybody's following what's going on, and so that part's been really exciting, and that's certainly part of the package that we're selling with NC State.
The city of Raleigh, is that helping too?
Oh, it's cool. Great area. It's an area people want to be. It's a fast-growing area, but it hasn't outgrown itself or gotten where it's so big that it's too congested. And so, yeah, it's been a fun experience learning my way around Raleigh.
Coach Wade, you and your staff were tasked with a very short amount of time to put together a very competitive roster. What were the most important characteristics that you looked for in the transfer portal or international, because you got a couple of international kids too?
The first thing we're looking for is guys who won. I think winning's a habit, and you want guys who have won, especially when you're taking over a program that hasn't really won. And so I think that is very important. And then you've got certain specific data points that you're looking at depending on positionally, and then you kind of roll it together based on, hey, we get this guy and here's what fits with this guy, then we get the second guy and this fits with these two, and then you kind of get it rolling downhill from there.
Can you talk a little bit, there's new challenges this year as well for plays. Can you talk about how your feelings are about that and how impactful that might be for your program this year?
Challenges for what?
So you can challenge like
the challenge plays, yeah. I mean, look, I think it's a great change. I think anything, gives the coaches a little bit more, jurisdiction over a few things, I think is good. And so, we certainly spent time as a staff talking about it and how to best challenge and how to best use our time, how to best use our challenges. And so, we're excited to see how it goes, but I think it'll be a good process. I think we've got a good process in place.
And then my last one, what do you think the biggest impact from you guys all being together at boot camp was on the team this year?
I think you get some camaraderie with the team. I think our communication gets better. Just build some bonds. Look, we were at a place, there's no cell phone service. You're in a cabin with everybody else, so you're in close quarters, and just think there's some bonds that can be built over that time that you can't do elsewhere.
Well, there's an incident in the flux of international this season. There's more than 20 former overseas players who have come to the ACC. Is this a trend that's going to continue?
I think so. Look at the new rules. You used to couldn't give a guy a donut. Now you can go pay their buyout. I think that certainly the schools you're familiar with, Virginia's got some really good ones. Virginia Tech's got a great one. And so I think that, look, it's just opened up a new market. And those kids, before, a lot of those kids didn't necessarily want to come over here because you couldn't make money, and you couldn't make as much money as you were making over there. Two, you had the amateurism issues. Now everybody, you signed that you played professionally you had to play professionally to play for your national team. You play for your national team, you automatically get a year of pay. Everybody can get a year. Everybody can get a year now that's a pro over there. So I think it's opened up new markets, and look, when you've got a lot of schools like ours are that are academically oriented, a lot of times those international kids are pretty good students, they're really good students. You can get them in school. They're very appreciative of the opportunity to be here. I think they have a level of appreciation of the opportunity to be in the United States, opportunity to be in college that maybe some of our Americans don't always have. So I think that they're really good ads for most teams, and I don't see the trend stopping as long as the rules and everything stays as it is.
How different is the international going to the American game? How quickly do you anticipate internationals being able to adjust to the college?
Yeah, I think they'll adjust. I think it's harder to adjust from the college game to the international game. I was over at a Euro Cup game last month. I was sitting on the floor had the 4 seats. And if you look at the physicality in that game, Valanciunas was playing, who's in the NBA, and he's playing against high school kids. I mean, if you look at the physicality in that game, there's not 10 high school kids that can play in that game, much less maybe 5 that can play and make an impact. And then, so I think that, and there was former ACC players in the game. There's a former SEC player in the game. I mean, those guys I think have a harder time adjusting to the international game than the internationals do.
Coach, you've got 2 transfers specifically in Terrence and Trey that come from some really successful programs. What was it about those 2 guys that maybe made you go out and target them the way that you did? And also, what have you seen from them early on that maybe have or have not surprised you?
I think winning's a habit. We have 6 guys on our team that won NCAA tournament games last year. Terrence obviously played in the national championship. Trey played in the Elite 8. Darian, who's here with us, played in the Elite 8. And so I think Terrence is a disruptor defensively. His offensive game's better than he's been able to show, and I think he's going to be able to show that for us. And Trey's somebody that was a captain at Michigan State. He's a leader. He's tough. Get in your face. He's gritty, grimy, kind of like we like it. And so I think he's somebody that brings an edge to our team. And is somebody that the fans are going to like, and probably the rest of the league won't like so much.
Is there a particular guy on this team, at least in my own personal opinion, very, I guess, just interesting, just personality and the way that you kind of get after it. And not afraid to, you don't bite your tongue. You say, speak out how you feel about it. Is there someone on this team that is kind of embraced and just kind of have a very similar personality and mentality when they take it?
Yeah, man, I think we got a lot of guys like that. I think Holloman's like that. I think Copeland's like that. I think those two are for sure like that. It's what you want to want. I mean, as a coach, you recruit guys that fit your personality. Sometimes you got to ask yourself in recruiting, would I rather play against this guy twice a year or be with this guy every day? You want to take the guys you're going to be with every day and you let loose the ones you don't worry about playing against twice a year. And so I think that Copeland and Holloman for sure have that edge.
You didn't have a lot of time between when the league announced it was pivoting from 20 to then reset your non-conference. What are the games that you ended up adding because of that decision? What was your thinking when it?
Yeah, I think the league did a great job going from 20 to 18 games. It was a very smart move. Now we had a little bit of a heads up that it was heading that way. So it wasn't like when it got announced that was official, but we had a pretty good heads up that it was heading towards 18 games. We added the Ole Miss game in Greensboro. I felt like what really changed for us is I wasn't anticipating our 2 permanent opponents. Our 2 permanent opponents are Wake and Virginia. I thought we'd maybe have a different permanent opponent. I'm not going to say who, but I thought we maybe had a different permanent opponent. And so when that happened, it changed the arithmetic on some quad 1 and quad 2 games. And so we had to go get another game. So with our extra game, we started neutral with Ole Miss, and then we bought a high end. We bought UNC. So we bought a really good American team with our team.
Does that delve into your thinking with the schedule? If you're going to play by, make sure that
you want to play teams that are going to win a bunch of games. Whether that's at the, if you want to play teams that are going to win tons of games in their league, because that's going to help their net, which in turn helps your net.
Will, you can see the defensive versatility on this roster on paper. How has that translated in practice and what you've seen so far with this group?
It's been great. I mean, we got 7 guys, 7 foot plus wingspan. I think we should have a top 10 or 15 defense in the country. Our biggest issue is going to be defensive rebounding. We're going to get stops. Can we get the ball after we get the stop? But I feel good about the group we have defensively.
2 weeks ago at the first day of practice in Raleigh, you told us that your team's better than you thought after going through summer workouts. Now that you've gone through 2 weeks of practice, do you still feel that way?
Yeah, we're good. We got a good team. We're going to win a lot of games. We got a good team.
Who's the most underrated player on this roster to this point, do you think?
Oh, by underrated, I mean, I think Paul McNeil's been really good. I mean, so
what Darian said.
he averaged 4 points a game last year, so I'm probably, doesn't jump off the radar of many people, averaging 4 points a game, but he's a really good player. He's going to score 4 points by the first medium, but he's a really good player, really talented player, and I think he'll have a good year for us.
What's the biggest shift you've noticed in him from earlier in the preseason to where you guys are now?
Just taking everything, I don't want to say he didn't take it seriously before, but taking everything very seriously, understanding what it means to be successful, to put yourself in position to be successful. I think that consistency of that is something that maybe he's been missing that it's there now.
Coach, you got an interesting schedule ahead of you. Obviously, you're going to Hawaii. I'm sure you're excited about that. And Kansas is usually one of the better teams in the country. And obviously, you got VCU. I'm not sure. Have you played VCU since you?
Yeah, we went up there and got our ass whipped at LSU.
Just your overall thoughts on maybe being able to get a little bit and get back against them, obviously, for the new team.
Well, I mean, look, the VCU game's a great game. They're going to be a quad 1 game, quad 2 game. They got a great program. So we thought it'd be smart to schedule them in a home and home. It's going to be a really tough game. They're picked to win the Atlantic 10. So they've got really good players. Coach Martelli will do a great job. So that'll be a big game. Hawaii, Maui's one of the best tournaments. The inside of a hotel ballroom looks the same in Maui or anywhere else you are. So I don't know how much we'll see of everything else. But it's a cool tournament. It's the second time I've taken a team out there. We were at LSU, and so it's a cool event and a great event. And the Kansas game it'll be a big game. And our fans are looking forward to. You don't get quality non-conference games for that very often.
What are the vibes you get from fans? Like, we talked about you being very blunt. You say exactly what's on your mind. You talk about the reckoning and that kind of thing. This is a fan base that's very proud, wants a winner. I would imagine that the vibes you've been getting from them, they like you talking like this.
I don't know about that. I mean, I'm not for everybody. Look, I mean, I get to the office before the sun comes up, and I leave after the sun goes down, so I don't have a ton of I mean, look, I have interactions when we're like at the football game. I mean, everybody there is drunk and happy, right? So, I mean, of course they're gonna say good stuff. So, I mean, I guess, I think everybody's excited, but we got good reason to be excited. We're a good team. We got a commitment from everybody that it's time to win. And, I mean, we got a lot of work to do. I mean, damn, the ACC can't even get our best players' picture right. You think that would happen to Duke or Carolina? Can you imagine if Duke or Carolina's first team all ACC player, first team all American have their picture right? We got a lot of work to do at NC State to kind of work our way up here. We obviously don't have a lot of respect. It's a damn shame.
Coach, you talked about LinkedIn and how everybody's kind of singing 1-2. How important is it to win year 1 compared if it's year 3 or 4?
I mean, it's important to win every year. We win year 1, they're going to expect us to win year 2. We win year 2, they're going to expect us to win year 3. I mean, every year it's important to win. But I do think, to your point, Charlie, I think there's, you want to get the wind behind your sails. You don't want to be sailing against the wind. You want to get the wind behind your sails and get moving. And so I think that winning in year 1 will be good, and we're going to win. So I think we'll get off to we'll be able to get off to a good start. We're excited about that. But once we win in year 1, it's not like they're like, all right, Pack won in year 1. Let's give them a pass for year 2. It's gonna be no. Let's go win in year 2. Whenever we win in year 2, it's gonna be let's go win in year 3. I mean, that's just the way it works.
How did being a student manager just change the way you are as a coach?
I think as a student manager, we got great student managers at NC State. But I think you learn to wear a lot of hats. You kind of look at things differently. That's why I always have good former players on my staff, Vernon and Adam, and those guys, because I need their perspective. JoJo was a good player, so I need those guys. I need those guys' perspective on things, and I think that just gives you a different perspective on it.
Coach, talking to Kyle Smith a little bit yesterday about just coaching in the Ivy League, Is there something about that league that sort of produces Power 5, Power 4 coaches?
Kyle's a good coach because he won at Columbia. And I don't know if you know how hard it is to win at Columbia, but I think the only job in the Ivy League that's harder than Columbia is probably Dartmouth. Just because Dartmouth's Columbia and the Woods in New Hampshire. At least Columbia's in Harlem, New York. So, I mean, look, I think the Ivy League's a great league. I was actually texting with Coach Amaker a couple of weeks ago at Harvard. I think they're going to have a great team. I mean, you just hope that with the way basketball is now, that the Ivies don't just, because they've got different policies. So you just hope they don't just go away. But it's a tremendous league. I mean, it's a coaches league. You got to turn around quick Friday, Saturday. I don't know if you've ever made that bus ride on Friday night between Cornell and Columbia, but it's a long ride. It ain't fun, and you're not on sleeper buses. So I mean, it's a bear of a league, and a lot of really good coaches and a lot of really good programs. And everybody in the Ivy League is now invested in basketball. It used to just be Penn and Princeton. They had their hold on it, and then Cornell under Steve Donahue showed, hey, we can win in basketball too. And then Harvard got in. Now Yale's gone all in, and now everybody's decided they want to be good in basketball, and so it's made it a really competitive league.
You have a handful of players who are having new roles this year. You're asking them to do more. I'm sure they came here because they wanted to do more. What is that like with Trey or with Terrence or with even Musa to a certain extent?
I'm not asking them to do more. I don't agree with that. I don't think I'm asking them to do more. I think they've done what we've asked them to do in spurts. They haven't done it consistently or haven't been given the opportunity to do it consistently. Darian's done what we're asking him to do in the NCAA tournament. He's done what we asked him to do when they had problems in Houston, when they had the kid get ejected for the elbow. He's done it. He showed he can do it, but he hasn't done it for a whole season. So we're asking them to extrapolate out and do for longer stretches of time what they've showed we can do. It's not like we're hoping that they're going to be able to do this. They've shown they've been able to do it. Trey had a higher usage rate last year. He had a lowest usage rate his sophomore year, but he had better numbers, so we're hoping he can adjust to the higher usage rate that he had his junior year with the numbers back from the sophomore year, which is so far what he's done for us through practice. Terrence was a starter for Houston up until the Arizona trip, and you could argue that he won the Arizona game in the last couple minutes, and they started somebody else at Arizona State, and that changed some of the dynamic of their team. But I mean, he was a starter on a Final Four team for half the season, and a good player. So I don't think that we're asking them to do new roles. We're asking them to do roles that they've had for a longer period of time than they've been asked to do it.
So we love your stats. How, say for a 3-point percentage in practice, how does that translate to games?
Well, the practice, so typically in normal shooting, you could take off 11 to 12% just shooting with no defense, but I'm only giving the stats for guarded in game 3, so those shouldn't be off much at all. Those should be straight up.
Always wear the wristband. Just wanted to know what they
Oh, the wristbands? So the first one is Wade Sims, my player at LSU, who was murdered. He was murdered in 2018, the day before practice started. The year we won the SEC. Just great kid. Worst day of my coaching. Everybody always says, "Man, coach, it must have sucked to get fired." No, it sucks to watch a kid you care about, carried into the morgue out of the hospital at 3:45 in the morning. That's no fun. So just remember him. His father since passed. He wore number 44 as well. His father passed of a heart attack a couple years ago. And his mom, Faye, she's still going strong. She'll support the pack. She'll come to a few games. Great lady, rock solid. And then the other one's a breathe bracelet. We do meditation, breathing exercises. Just reminds me to calm down. The last one's be better, be different. From a consultant, Phil Beckner, that we use. He was with us actually a couple weeks ago. He's an NBA trainer. Basically says the best at what they do are either better than everybody, just straight out talent, or they do things differently and have different ways to do things. So it's just a reminder that if we want to be the best, obviously we have good talent, but we got to look at things differently and do things differently.
I'd say you kind of look down at them. It seems like you intentionally wrote everything.
Yeah, I've worn them for years. I've just kind of added to them. But I think that, look, Wade was a kid who really had turned the corner and changed his life. And I was really, really proud of him. You know, it's just, you know, sometimes you look up at the clock and it's a minute 44 seconds left, and just have a piece about you. We're gonna figure this thing out. You know, it's just a subtle reminder of how quickly things can change. You know, love your players, pour into your players. You know, the day before practice, concert, protecting his friend, shooting at his friend, and we're shooting at him. Went right to his head. And, you know, just reminds me, love your guys every day. Make sure you never know when the last time you will see them. It's a good reminder.
That's kind of been the early reports from the players. It's not what you've done off the court. It's kind of what you've done off the court, what you know about some places as this year's lines. Is that kind of your message or your motto when you're trying to get the players in, or you on a daily basis to talk to them? Is it more of a having a relationship with them off the court, or is it more just trying to get them coached up?
No, I mean, it's just you want to have relationships with them. I mean, you're with them all the time. You want them to move forward. I feel like if we move them forward off the court, they'll move forward on the court. So, you know, we spend a lot of time with our guys. Our staff's young. You know, a couple of our guys are having some of the players over for dinner tonight while we're gone. I'm taking these two to dinner before we fly back. So, you know, you want to spend as much time. I want to give them a great experience. I don't ever want them to leave NC State or play for us and just say, man, he got me better at basketball. I want them to know how to manage money. I want them to know how to, you know, I tell them, like, a lot of you guys are good enough to make the NBA. We want to make you great enough to stay. There's a difference between being good enough to make it, great enough to stay. We want to make great enough to stay. That encompasses a lot of stuff that doesn't just deal with basketball. And yeah, so we invested in it. I enjoy that part of it. That's a fun part of it. You know, it's tough love, but at the end of the day, they know we care for them. They know they need us. They can always call us. You know, they see our former players coming back through all the time. We've had players from almost every school I've been at. We've had players come back through our facility, and so they know we're fiercely loyal, and we'll do what we say we're going to do. We try to stick to that. Last thing I want to be known as is a fraud. You may not like what we do, you may not like who I am, but we're not fraudulent. We're going to do what we say we're going to do. We are who we say we are.
You said it was intentional, but you've brought in players who have played for some great coaches, Jim Boeheim, Kelvin Sampson, Tom Izzo. You know, do you ever talk to them about, oh, what did this coach do, or what did that coach do? Because obviously you've got winning backgrounds with your players. They all won at their previous schools.
Yeah, I mean, they're great. They're great coaches. And so, you know, Q played for Boeheim the first year, and Autry the second year. You know, Q's experience was a little different there, so I'm not sure how much is going to translate. But certainly, like, I've known the Sampsons for a long time. Kelvin's son, the coach in waiting, is a good friend of mine. So, you know, we talk frequently anyway, whether it's about, you know, whatever it may be about. We're talking, trading ideas and talking hoops. But certainly you ask their opinion on things. And I've asked Trey some things. Hey, what do they do here? What do you think about this? How's this different? You know, what do we do that's a little bit different? That sort of thing. So you get their feel on certain things, especially areas where those programs are really, really good. You know, if you think there's a shortcoming in your program and they can help you, those guys are great coaches and they certainly want to know.
You remember when?
Have you seen it make this transition easier, knowing that you've done it before, kind of doing it?
And I think Vin gets a bad rap. Everybody acts like, oh, it's just for school. Well, his coach, Mike Bray, left Notre Dame. His coach at Vanderbilt, he'd still be at Vanderbilt today if Jerry Stackhouse was still there. And then his last school wasn't used properly, so he left. So I mean, it wasn't like, you know, like two of them were coaching changes. You know, I think if you talk to him today, he'd still be at Notre Dame or Vanderbilt today, probably. He's one of the finest human beings I've ever coached. He needs none of my help. He can help our players. He needs zero help from me. He's the most mature, you know, ready person I've ever. I mean, he's engaged. He's he's so far ahead of most guys. He's like he's 35 years old. He moves like he's 20. But no, he's so I mean he's somebody that's he's been rock solid for us. Quite frankly, he's one of our most valuable guys. Kind of like Noah's Ark. We got two of a lot of everything. We ain't got but one of him. But we got 2 point guards, we got 2 shooting guards, we got 2 wings, we got 2 4-men. Like we can move guys around. We ain't got but one of him. So we need him to be healthy. We need him to be right. He's we can make up for a lot of stuff at some of them other spots. We only one of him on the team, so we need him.
We've been waiting for this season for a long time. Just seeing all of the ACC branding and being here kind of make everything feel real.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I care about NC State. Like the ACC is great, but I think the ACC showed us today what they think of us. So they're not real fond of us or don't pay much attention to detail at NC State. So I think we got a clear picture today of where we stand in this thing, especially where we stand in our area. So I'm worried about NC State. We're going to worry about NC State. We're going to make NC State the best we can be. And hopefully, if we do a great job this year, maybe they'll know who we are next year at the ACC.
Do you remember when basketball became a thing in your life and you made the decision that this is the course you wanted your life to take?
I think, look, my mom was a principal, mom was a coach. My degree is secondary education, history and geography. I was going to be a high school history teacher, student taught. And then the guy I worked for as a manager was like, hey, if you're going to student teach, if you're going to be a teacher, let me at least get you a graduate degree. You make a few more bucks, graduate degree. And he kept me on as a GA, and I kind of never left. It goes back to your original question. Her name was Charlie, but in my core, I'm a teacher. In my core, I hadn't lost being a high school teacher, and the reason I want to be a high school history teacher was to impact kids' lives. I thought you could impact kids' lives in high school. Well, you can do the same thing in college. I just didn't know it at the time. So I've kind of taken that same approach as we move into college.
So how often do you refer to history when you're talking to your players?
Oh, they get so sick of my analogies and history lessons and questions, and then chiding them because they don't know history and they don't know something I think they should know. So they get very irritated.
That was a bad question.
They get very irritated. I got to get them to the next.
Oh, that's right. You got to go use.
All right.